All right, here we go. It's the final match in the 1-2 bracket. We've got Gigabyte Marines versus the defending champs, Damwon Kia. Winner of this gets to move on to the 2-2 bracket and continue playing. Loser has to go home. Let's look at the bans. We've got Damwon Kia going Maokai, Wukong Kalista being matched by Caitlyn, Alistar, and Xayah. We see the Xayah or Rakan being banned on red side. Basically always means that Kai'Sa is available for first pick, but that means that you're giving up Rumble Jarvan. Answered with Cassante Lee Sin. Then we have Orianna. So anytime you can get this combination of champions, you have to be assuming that you're winning this draft. So even if Damwon Kia just has superior talent, I do not agree with giving the enemy team this unless, and I'm going to put one caveat on this. If your team is win worlds or bust, then you need to find out what you might be able to do against this composition. And you're not sure that your scrim results are going to do it, and you're saying, hey, we need to know whether or not we can flex something in draft and allow these champions onto the enemy side. Let's find out about it against Gigabyte Marines and see if we can get a litmus test, because we're going to have to beat it at some point in Worlds. If that's the thought sequence, then good. That's fine. The problem is you're not going to get any good practice out of Gigabyte Marines if your competition is going to be JDG, right? They're just completely different animals. So that's the only conceptual reason I can see for giving away this like trinity of power picks here. This is what the entire World's meta is about, is literally these three champions being scooped up. You can substitute Orianna for Azir so that you have more synergy with Jarvan, and you can bop people into into the Rumble. Anyways, Orianna also has plenty of synergy, right? Dives into whatever line you want, and then you can use the Shockwave, build everybody up. But this right here, this grouping of champions, and specifically Jarvan, Rumble plus Control Mage, it's all over the tournament. So why are you giving it to Gigabyte Marines? That doesn't make sense to me. The rest of the draft rounds out. We had B4, B5 with Rel and Silas. We had Rakan early. Makes sense, just grabbing their support. It seems like teams are indifferent between these two champions. And they put Leona a peg beneath the two of them, but Rakan and Rel are number one. And then we end up with Zeri. Zeri's going to be fantastic in a front-to-back fight. You do give extra move speed to Silas if he ever steals your ult, which can be a bit of a problem. But with all these teams, all these champions diving into you, Zeri seems like a fantastic pick. So if I'm Gigabyte Marines, I'm super stoked about this draft. This is about as good as I can hope. And if I can't win this game, then it's back to the drawing board. We have to do something completely different and see where it goes. So without further ado, let's check out the game. All right, we're on to the Rift. Damwon Kia, Gigabyte Marines. Love these cinematics. Love it when Cassante drops in first. See the mountains in the background. We can see a whole lot of that as MMO news starts coming out. Let me know in the comments if you're pumped for the MMO. All right, early starts. It looks like fan out, fan out. Early ward dropped by Rakan. You see how they dropped this ward for themselves. Down here, right, you path in, you immediately drop it, and you recall. In lower ELOs, you can go and kind of hover, wait till 50 seconds, do it at the 7th second of your recall, drop it then. But in this game, you absolutely need to be back on the map ASAP, right? You're just trying to get information, whether or not they're trying to do something like this, and you're trying to get preliminary control of the bush versus a Rel, since you are the squishier composition. Jarvan going for an obfuscated start, or are they going to leash? Probably wants to start by himself, going buff. We also see Lee Sin starting buff. This is what you tend to want to do when you want to exploit the other person's starting Raptors. Here we go, that ward already paying dividends. They see them in the front bush. That means that they're going to be able to go out and get some chunks out to start. Lethal tempo from Zeri means that they're going to be favored in the all-ins. They also have Guardian for themselves, so they can survive the Glacial Augment burst. And this is where Zeri is just completely ridiculous. The fact that she can win bush versus bush for no good reason is why she's always going to be playable. Just this champion does things, attacking wards out of bushes. You see that the intent is to let this wave come in. They have no rush. Slater actually using his Q out to the side like that. He's stacking up his passive. Trying to get that ready for the battle. Wants to make sure that when he does poke, it's going to hurt, right? You can go auto Q reset, Q auto. And you can get big chunks out. You're trying to get Rel down a little bit, just little bits here and there. If you can get her just a little bit lower, then it means that you're that much more likely to survive the all-in. But you see how they're bringing that wave back. They're trying to hold it in that happy zone, right? So they're trying to keep this line of scrimmage, and they're just going to hold the wave there since Jarvan is pathing and Lee, they assume, is coming down bot. right? They see this ward right here, so they have an idea whether or not Lee Sin's joining them towards mid lane or going anywhere sooner. If they don't see him at all, they can probably guess that he's over here. Now you see this ward sees Jarvan, so now they're going to know that it's a bot to top clear from Jarvan. Lee Sin's going to be strong side of the map over here. They could look for a dive. We'll see if he goes mid. Pretty tough situation to do it with. Sylas will be able to help clear a wave. You have to often expend your resources as a Sylas into these range matchups. You have to trade HP early and often to try to get a semblance of get back, right? You have to use that W aggressively in the lane phase, otherwise you will just constantly get poked out. Sometimes you ask your jungler to come over, help you to reset the lane or to get a good push off, but it looks like Sylas is very happy keeping it like this. But this is going to throw some amount of indecision on the team comp, right? Rumble's got the push here, Sylas has the push here. That means Jarvan's going to get to own this quadrant, and Lee Sin only has one strong side of the map. So traditionally in the history of Worlds, the team with more pushing lanes tends to have a very high win rate, showing that the overall aggression, tempo, being able to open doors is better than trying to close them. When you ask questions to your opponent constantly, right? What are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about this push? I'm in fog of war, etc., etc. So many different options. You have to constantly be asking yourself the response. And sometimes they'll get it wrong, especially under pressure. Now, I don't like this relief right here from Jarvan. He's actually going to recall right in time for this respawn here. Or did he grab the Gromp first? I didn't actually notice if he... No, there it is. Gromp is respawning now. So what I'm talking about is you have a push in this direction and a push in this direction. That means Jarvan should be living here and going for these respawns. I really don't like that Levi is going off to his own Gromp right now. Meanwhile, going to this side of him, I guess you know what he sees is that this wave started to come back. So they probably called him over. They said, we need you more in bot lane to get this wave pushed out. Then we need you to go fight the Lee Sin in the jungle. And already we're seeing that, whoops, might have been a mistake because Kai'Sa Rel were able to get that kill for themselves anyways. On as slippery as he is, still bites the dust there. Relon getting a nice little trade out here, trying to do it right in time for Jarvan, but nope, we're not going to get anything. This is going to be a push out. You see this from junglers. You need to help your laners. He should go straight mid right now. No need to get this wave in. Well, all right. He's sticking around long enough to make sure that Rel can't hold the wave. There you go. It's all the way in. Now they can leave. Now Rakan plus Jarvan should be looking to put pressure on this Raptor camp and on mid lane. They should try to do the same thing for Orianna. If they can get an oppressive back off where she doesn't even need to use her teleport, then we could be in a really good spot. Also, it's level 5. She's about to hit 6. She should have hit it off last wave. She must have missed one minion at one point. So going in, she's going to get this push off. Could even use 6 to shockwave the cannon wave and go for a quick back that way. Opting not to use it, gets the push the old-fashioned way, means that Sylas needs to teleport. Now Sylas, Orianna gets to recall peacefully. Does go way too far back. Your team had strength right here. There's no chance of a challenge. In fact, you wanted Sylas to trade HP with you before you left. If he were going to step ahead of the wave and trade with you, then that would have been a fantastic thing. So I don't like that Caddy wasted some time going back there. It means that it's going to be a little bit later coming on to back into the lane. Has to use teleport to not lose that many minions. Would have much preferred it the other way. So we're seeing a lot of drops in tempo here from GAM. Jarvan should have been able to take over this quadrant of the map. This line should have been able to play with the power of their building wave. You can either challenge the team, be like, all right, this is building slowly. We don't need to stack it and shove it right away, but we just like let it keep on building. And if you want to work into us with that big of a minion disadvantage, then yeah, power to you. We'll take that fight and then we'll go for our trade afterwards. Instead, they tried to get a little bit too aggressive early. Rakan bites the dust. That completely shoots Jarvan's tempo in the foot. Now, I do like what they took and turned it into, this push here. Rotate over. You saw Rakan and Jarvan moving onto this side. That could have resulted in an even better back, especially if Orianna had been willing to use her shockwave there. Was a little bit strapped for mana, so she might have been a little bit tight to use that. Worst case scenario, obviously, you want to be very careful if you're using shockwave in the wave. It better clear the entire wave. You don't want to leave yourself in a situation where you don't have any mana left. Pallet being caught out again. Big damage from Deft. We're going to see Noon Quiver this game, all right, a response to multiple melees in-game, plus the fact that you're going to have to go toe-to-toe with the Zeri at some point. So you want to have that on-hit build so you can deal the maximum amount of damage. Canyon jumping over, getting a kick flash off. You always want to press your cast button, right, lock you into that animation before you flash, because if you flash and they flash in response, then you don't get to target it. But as long as you target your kick first and then you flash, then you will immediately cast it upon arrival. That is true for every champion in the game except for the new one, which for some reason doesn't have a functional Q. See Deft holding on to the end. Now, something that's interesting about Zeri's, by the way, we have Deft on super low mana, so maybe Slater's thinking that, hey, I'm strong enough actually to play into this, but actually you're just waiting for Rel's cooldowns. But something that's interesting about Zeri's mana, the lower her mana is, the faster her energy regens. So it's kind of interesting way to staying middle mana for Zeri is actually much more impactful. You don't have that many abilities to harass with. You're not really spending your mana that much. So keeping yourself right at that like 50% mark is more than enough to be able to do a whole fight. And it just makes your energy come back a little bit faster, your conduit, whatever it's called, to be able to get more of those auto attack pokes out. Good buffer by Zeri, casting the E on the back half of the Q. Q resolves, E resolves, E goes off and go. You saw that even though the Glacial Augment hit, she wasn't even part of it. In fact, she never even felt stunned because she was in her travel time the whole time. So nicely played right there. DK 1.5 gold in the lead. The map is theirs to choose with what to do, how they like. They might try to compound the issue in bot lane. It looks like they're actually giving up the Rift Herald, which I wouldn't have expected from this position. Although, like we said, we have the pushing lane mid and the pushing lane top, so that should be Jarvan's prerogative to take it. But Lee Sin's more than strong enough to fight him right now. Orianna, the 1 point of real strength. Well, Orianna and Rumble both feeling good. They this will be slight gold leads turning into the bank accounts, right? This looks about a one, half an, or just the smallest item component. We're talking about like 350 gold, 360 gold is the difference here. Very small. You can feel like you're winning by a lot, but it really doesn't amount to much unless your team's getting stuff done. What I want to see from GAM is I want to see continued pressure here. I love these 3 control wards. Actually, they just moved one over. Would have preferred to keep it on that half of the map. You don't need to be strong everywhere, guys. All right, you don't need to put control wards down everywhere to protect every side of the map. And in fact, Lee Sin just cleanly went in there and stole what he needed, got out. There is no more threat. Now they've wasted all this vision to try to react to a Lee Sin that's not even there. Would have preferred this line to continue and for Jarvan to play inside here, create this as a line of scrimmage, and then say get some shallow control wards that you put in right here. So this one will maintain a job. I'd like to see another one right here. All right, use these 2 to kind of gate anyone that goes in. This one's not as good as this one. You'd like to have it moved up to that position. That covers all your bases, right? Anyone who's trying to get into your turrets with these 2 wards, you'll be able to see anything. So this one right here just needs to be on the right side of the bush. Very hard to draw that on this angle, but you want it on the right side of this bush to make sure that you can cover anyone who's trying to like ward hop over, like if Lee Sin wants to ward hop and then sit in the bush for a bit. But they don't. Instead, we're just playing with the 2 wards here. Jarvan trying to get something done, has the Rift Herald in tow. Why did he use his W? Okay, we see a couple of abilities go down, so Levi wants to buy himself some time. I have no idea why he cast his W earlier than that. They see Jarvan on the map. Lee Sin is quick to react. This is what you need to see, right? Strong side, weak side switches. It looks like they wanted to go swap strong side and weak side in time for Dragon, but because Lee Sin is right there, that means that they get it. So they're not going to reap any of the benefits from this rotation here. The fact that they bought Rumble down, this is normally something you should do before, push out and then you bring Rumble down. Preferably if he has teleport, then you can take Herald, then you've got the options of teleporting back, or you can stay there. You can give the carry the Rift Herald. Instead, Jarvan has it, which means he's really feeling kind of forced to do something proactive. And instead he goes for nothing right here. And entire team was down here. Why are you not taking these camps? This is a missed opportunity here from Levi. Levi is I don't know if the team's calling for things, right? You never know what the comms are like and what's actually going on. But we're missing a lot of windows here for tempo. Leaving these camps up is just a huge miss. You know that Lee Sin just took the dragon, right? You got the declaration. You could have easily taken these camps and gotten out and then resumed with your path. Perhaps saying that, hey, we want to try to fight in here, but like, you know how much they've taken. You've tried to fight for this area of vision. It's been inconsequential so far. So Damwon Kia is just going to end up continue taking these leads. Plus, we have Zeri still in the side lane. Silas is able to rotate. Kaisa happy to move over. Good to see proactive rotations here from DK. Deft and Slater, is that really the player matchup they're going for? They're going for it because it's Deft, but like, let's be real. This is the matchup here. And Kiaya, whether or not he overextends into Kana. Kana has been playing like a raid boss, and Kiaya has been playing like a cocaine addict. And it is what it is, right? He's just been out. He's been thrill seeking. He's been playing things to the limit. He's playing much more demure this game. Somehow has given up his 15 CS lead here in the top. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the rotation that they made. You see that they still have this priority. They're still littering all these wards down here. They're trying to set up for a split push scenario that they're just not getting, right? They want to get strength over here based on this line of wards, and the wards are not aligning with the narrative, right? You actually need to make the narrative go along with where your vision is. You need to play for your strength, lean into your strength. If you're strong anywhere, lean into it. Another thing that it does accomplish, right? It'll see Silas if he moves out of the lane. So they could claim that they're playing this as mid strength. They're trying to line the Silas's exit points to have his rotations on tap. Once they know exactly what he's doing, then they can make the appropriate response and try to get an exploit. So there is another half to it. They do end up getting mid lane turret for it. We'll see what ends up coming, whether or not these get replaced, whether or not they get moved. I expect there to be, like, if this is your plan, then yeah, you want it. And we have a Rumble with teleport, which means that we're trying to team fight opposite the Rumble, have Rumble join in, cast his equalizer from long distance. What is DK's next step? 15 seconds towards Herald. Already has one invade here. We see multiple wards, actually. A triangle of vision. This actually could favor GAM going into this fight. This is going to be their best chance. Orianna has no teleport, which means she needs to get over there right now. Silas is reading the same, so we're going to go over. Orianna starts her trek. Silas can get there faster. Also has completed Everfrost to go along with the Verdant Veil. Finishes the boots as well. And going Sork shoes. Interesting. Normally you'd expect Merc treads into a comp like this. Sork Shoes saying, hey, I'm the AP carry on this team. I need to deal a significant amount of damage, so I'm going for it, right? And you sometimes expect that, right? With the Everfrost, you get Q-Max with First Strike, so you can deal all that damage. All right, GAM is in space. Let's look at their teamfight formation. We have really good front line with 2 flankers or 2 epaulettes and 1 flanker. Zeri gets the first kill to start off the fight. Herald is in tow. However, Canyon has it. This is just such a bad habit that I need pro teams to erase from their game lexicon. Lee Sins should not be picking this up, right? And Eye of the Herald in general would be better in the hands of your carry. The people that use oh my god, wrong arrow. The people who use the gold the best in the game, these are the people who you want it on. On top of that, you want to make sure that it's not blocking abilities. Like Lee Sin is a completely different champion when he has Eye of the Herald in his inventory because he can't drop a ward, right? So you just never want the second eye to be on him. I'd much rather it be on the AD carry who has nothing else to really do. They're just waiting for their Farsight alteration cooldown anyways. So you might as well put it on them, give them something to do so that you're not gimping any of the rest of your kit. All right, here we go. Everfrost hits, which means Q1, Q2 will hit, and he grabs the ultimate, just Showmaker showing out, getting a solo kill and only taking 10% of his HP back in return. Big deal right here. If he has that cooldown, knows that it's a completely one-sided trade. Orianna taking a straight line back, should have tried to play for alcoves for a bit, buy time for his team. But Showmaker gets that. We'll have the ultimate available. That's also going to be most likely Banshee's Veil money, especially after Rift Herald does get popped. we'll see whether or not he goes. Sometimes you just buy this defensive item and then you don't finish it, right? You just buy it just the same way that a Cassante might buy a Megatron Cloak into an AP matchup before finishing Iceborne Gauntlet. So this answers the question about Merc Treads, right? Deciding to get your defensive itemization, a little bit of HP here, and getting the majority of the defenses from the Banshee's Veil. Banshee's Veil, not particularly great against Rumble or against Jarvan. Jarvan, the E will pop it, the Q will still come in and knock you up. Even Q damage will pop it, and then you'll still get knocked up by Jarvan passing through. Zeri with tons of splash can go through it. So really the big one that you're dodging is Rakan going in with Swiftness and Grand Entrance. You block one, but you get hit by the other is generally how it works. Although if you block the charm and you're able to sidestep the knock-up, then you're going to be in good shape. Beautiful play by Showmaker, throwing the Everfrost. The moment he sees you change direction, he holds it, and the moment you flinch, he looks at the Orianna turning her body, and when you see the body turn, you know where her moves can go, and you just aim it at her right hip because she's turning right. This is how these guys make their spells work and make them hit even when people are dodging at the highest level in the game. The moment you see the body turn, that's when it tells you that the spell is happening or the move is happening, and it doesn't really matter how far they go because that is a step in that direction. So if you can put the Everfrost right on that hip, then it's always going to hit. Even if they tried to go that way and turn around, they'd still be a little bit too late. So that's how you make this ability work. Showmaker showing out, like we said. And DK just kind of running away with this. Three Dragons only has 1.4 gold in the bank, which means that if we do get this big team fight, we still have ways out for Gigabyte Marines. But it's going to be difficult. Right now, they haven't been making anything proactive happen. They had one little line of scrimmage drawn here. That was it. The formation that DK used, I actually want to highlight for a moment. You saw it was tank right here. You had secondary fighters, Rel and Lee Sin. And then you had Silas off to the side saying like, yeah, I want to wait until these guys engage. Once they make that line of scrimmage and we draw here, that's when I'll jump in. And the carry the whole time is hitting behind so that they can throw out. So very nice formation. They've clearly drawn this out. Very scripted to see that. You see how their spacing was good, and it's, you know, specifically tank, secondary fighter. You want to make sure that they're spaced out enough that they're not all getting hit by the same shockwave, right? Orianna shockwave will not hit all of them, even if it's placed right between them. So beautiful, beautiful spacing by DK in that fight. We'll see if they're able to keep that going. Now, that formation, if we do get it again, Rumble ult being drawn like this can be a big problem for that, right? You force these guys to decide, are you going backwards or are you going forwards? Are you going to rejoin Cassante? Are you going to go path across the whole thing? And now Silas, are you going to go through that choke with the equalizer in it? So that's how you can potentially ask a question of these formations. You can use equalizer, some big spell, to see what are they going to do to react, and then use shockwave or Jarvan Cataclysm to punish if they do clump up in response. So I will like to see Gigabyte Marines try to do that. Very hard to recognize that in the middle of a game to see what the formations that your enemy team is using. Unless you can draw them in, right? Unless you can have good, really good superior vision control. Two people, let's see, no, they do get chased out by Silas here. If you have superior vision control and you constantly can see their formation in the fight, then yeah, you get that really good idea. You see it again right here. Two people, it's Rel and Lee Sin together on opposite sides of this bush. Meanwhile, Silas is up above them, threatening to get that flank in. So we're always going to see this, it appears like. We're going to have these two ready fighters, and then Cassante either making a line here, a line here, or a line here, and then looking for Silas to come over the top and drop the hammer to the anvil, get that big flank, all that AoE damage. Silas is like a walking Orianna ball, so all that AoE damage spitting out, plus he gets to lock people up with the Everfrost. All right, stopwatch in tow, so secondary defensive item. This is fairly common for Silas's when you're going to be in the middle of the fight, especially such a high damage team comp as this one. I want to see Abyssal Mask. All right, Abyssal Mask was purchased. Perfect. super high value into the Rumble matchup, and then in the team fights, it's going to be good, and it's going to amplify significant amounts of your damage. All of Rel, all of Silas, 30% of Kai'Sa's damage. It's all coming up together. So a wonderful purchase there from K'Sante being in the middle of the fight, and plus you'll be soaking up 25 extra MR for those fights. Get yourself stacked, be able to hold him down. All right, so we have a different formation now. Now this right here, this is what you don't want. You see how they're kind of changing directions, and they're all getting up into one line. That is the sort of formation that they want, but here we go. We're going to see if we get the punish in response. They move the fight away from the equalizer. Lee Sin still gets the soul, and they're able to take, look at how much damage Showmaker's doing on the backline. They end up coming back onto Jarvan. They easily could have just taken that fight all the way in this direction towards these bushes. The one thing stopping that is the soul control ward right there. Props to GAM for taking a shot. Very good answer from DK. They move the fight immediately away from the equalizer. But you see what that is, right? You just have a straight line going into the fight. Then it's very unclear who and how and when you can get in, because if your carries are all the way in the back, how are they ever contributing, right? Once you have the equalizer laid down, is Zeri going to put her E on cooldown to start the fight? And if you are, what is the payoff? You need to make sure that she's not getting hit, she's not getting targeted by this other very strong formation with plenty of catch potential. Here we go. Boom, 2 different people on the outsides. You see that? Again, nice wide formation, beautifully done. They get the rumble. DK, I mean, all the Korean and Chinese teams have been team fighting exceptionally well, but you can see it right here, just the line, the shape of their formation, how this is just something that Western teams have not adopted to. Europe is close. That's next for them. It seems like the individual mechanical play is there, at least like 99% is there. Still not quite on the level of the Chinese and Korean players, but that's like a small difference. That's something that you can beat with game mastery and knowledge. But then we come to these team fight formations. You see this nice wide setup. Both of one or two of them are going to be able to get by creating that angle like there. Rel on the bot side of the river and K'Sante there. It makes it so that there's no great win in. Everyone knows what their role is. They do their job. My mind is telling me no, but my body's telling me yeah. You guys ever seen that Lee Sin? But it's that moment when you hit Q1 and you're like, I know it's not good, but maybe this time will be the highlight reel play, and you go back in and just instantly die. Go into practice tool. If you guys want to get better at Lee Sin, go in, set up the 4 dummies, move them around like this, and turn off the cooldowns. Just go in and try to slide around, see if you can ward hop and kick around the map, see if you can bowl them over, right? So if you're standing here, see if you can go Q1, Q2, land, ward hop over here, and knock him into there. And then you go Q1, Q2, jump over to this side, bowl it backwards, see if you can knock over both of the other bowling pins. And that's the little game that you can play for yourself. Give yourself a little like high score, sort of. How quickly can you do it? How many bowling pins can you do it? Setting those 4 aside. So you have to bowl one guy into the next, then bowl one guy into the 2, and then bowl the last guy into the 3. Making sure to hit all 6 of the bowling pins. That's how you have to do it. You have to give yourself a high score, try to beat your own high score. If you play that game, let me know how quickly you can get your 6 bowling pins scored. Put them in the comments below. I will feature you in a video if you have the best score. But DK just taking it, soul in hand, double inhibitor, easy fight, easy clap. They just walked everywhere they wanted this game. They were never asked any difficult questions. It was just a couple of lane situations. Lee Sin moved himself away from the pushing lanes, and good things happened. And then that one, that 2 big misses from Jarvan to be able to get some amount of tempo using the Western Quadrant to his advantage with his pushing lanes. Then the fact that he hemorrhaged it back, going to bot lane right as Rakan died. Worst case scenario, probably shot all of their momentum in the leg. It'd be tough to come back from that. If you're GAM, got to reset your mental, all right? Find a way, get yourself back to your baseline, bring yourself back up for the next game, all right? Good luck in game 2.